I should let you show off the car, but if you step over a little bit to the side,
Sure.
This is what is going to replace the DB9, which is Aston Martin's flagship right now, and it's going to cost how much?
Starting price is £155,000.
You can afford that, Mark. £155,000, no problem, right?
That's the starting price. After that, it's all about bespoke. It's all about speccing the model to your particular tastes.
Yeah, I guess that could probably push it up above 200, I'm thinking.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is going to come online in September.
That's correct.
And the oil prices, remind me where? Somewhere in the $30 range, and equity prices. Are there enough rich people out there to buy this car?
Well, absolutely. It's the population, the top 1% of the population, or the richest 1%, are obviously ever increasing. Historically, at its peak, DB9, when we were making DB9, Aston was selling 7,000 cars. Today, we're selling around 4,000 cars. So with the reintroduction of this model, I would expect sales to sail back up.
Let's talk about last year and one measure of profit, EBITDA.
Yes.
How did it come in for 2015?
Well, we haven't published yet, but it was better than the previous year.
Yeah.
Can't give you guidance, as you'll appreciate. But two important points: better than last year, better than the previous year, and more importantly, on and above the budgets that we published, which is really important.
So last year you guided that measure of profit at between 65 and 70 million pounds.
Yes.
Did you hit that target?
Difficult for me to answer, but basically we hit the budgets.
Yeah. And for this year, what can we expect in terms of deliveries of your DB9, the DB11, which is coming online at the end of the year, and also in terms of, by the same measure, profit?
Well, obviously you would expect profit to increase as a result of the new car. Over 1,000 of these cars already sold just on the basis of the leaks and the internet. And
you pre-sold 1,000 of the cars.
Already, 1,000 people have walked into the dealers and put down some deposits. So that bodes well for the financial year as well, because we'll launch this car in September. That means that we'll see deliveries in 2016.
I guess the reason, Andy, why I'm grilling you about EBITDA is because your goal is to make this into a profit-making company in 3 years' time in terms of net income.
Absolutely.
Are you ahead of schedule, behind schedule?
We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
We're ahead of schedule. And obviously that's very important. The EBITDA measure is also an important measure when you talk about multiples and then the potential market capitalization of the company.
Exactamundo. And so there we have it, the IPO. I'm guessing that the trigger for the IPO that you've said you're seeking is when you become a profit-making company in terms of net income.
Yeah.
When might that be? When can shareholders buy a share in Aston Martin?
I mean, I'm the CEO of the company. I run the company, but obviously there are shareholders, private equity that currently owns the company.
Yeah.
And ultimately, how they exit is up to them. Obviously, one way of exiting is an IPO, but ultimately my shareholders will decide.
So you haven't definitively decided.
No.
But if you gave me a sense of, the certainty of an IPO, the probability right now, what are you, 80-20?
Well, I think we've got a good story with the replacement of the sports cars, so replacing the DB9 with the DB11, the Vantage, the Vanquish, and then the crossover. So, if you were going to float a company, somewhere in that period, you've got good news in the past and good news going forward.
Because you've got ambitious plans. You want to have a crossover. You want to revive your ultra-luxury brand, to take on Rolls-Royce, which is right over there.
Yes.
All this requires a bunch of money. What would your plan B be if you decide actually an IPO isn't the way to go? Well, where do you get the cash?
I mean, the current shareholders may decide to stay in the company.
Yeah.
The reality is that the 4 cars that are already funded is enough that we then be able to fund the rest of the portfolio from working capital. So they actually don't need to pony up, to use your expression. Yeah. We can continue that portfolio. And the basic intention is that we have 7 cars in our portfolio, a 7-year life, 1 car every year, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste.
Andy Palmer, thank you very much for your time. That, of course, was the CEO of Aston Martin standing in front of the new Aston Martin that you can buy, Mark, for £155,000. Starting price, of course. Back to you, buddy.